And when I'm up by 0.4,
every yard matters.
You need him to stop.
Yeah, but he had 28 points last week, so you gotta expect him to get some points. I was hoping for more than this.
I calls him how I sees him. I would like him to stop now. That's what I would prefer.
I think you get your wish. They don't appear to be able to do much of anything.
Okay, I think we're good then, unless anyone else has anything else.
Oh no, I'm good.
Are you a good enough dude to record We Were Gamers episode 373?
This thing says stop recording, so that means it is recording.
Nice.
Does that make some sort of sense? Probably not.
That's Andy. And how you doing over there, Michael?
You know, it's a Monday, but I can't complain.
It is a Monday. I'll tell you, man.
Fall is here, you guys.
Is it?
Yeah, you walk out the door in the morning and there's a chill in the air.
Yeah, then it turns into like warm again.
Well, yeah, it'll spike back to 100 in October because it always does that. But
yeah, folks out there who are not remembering, we all live in Southern California, where fall doesn't technically begin until like November, really.
Yeah, because it's got to get hot and then get really cold right before Halloween.
That's the pattern.
Yeah, early October, late September are like sneakily the hottest times of the year.
I'm sure it's not factually true, but it's definitely anecdotally true.
Yeah,
I mean it's been anecdotally true for 4 or 5 years in a row. So take that as you will.
Woohoo! We talked about the weather. That's a good podcast, you guys.
Officially old.
Yep. That's the point, right?
Old.
Hashtag we were gamers. Let's talk about the weather.
All right, great. Now let's move on to another boomer topic, football. So, guys, we're recording this during Monday Night Football. It's as we do. I would really prefer Kyron Williams to stop because I'm losing or I'm winning only by 0.4, and that's not enough points to secure this if he continues to play the game he's playing. But how'd your weeks go? In my other league, I destroyed the universe by having Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen on the same team, and then also having Davante Adams on that team.
That would be unfair, sir.
I have 158 points this week.
Okay.
No.
Well, as a victim of Lamar Jackson, Davante Adams, and a kicker named Matt Gray.
I was just going to say, did you have that one kicker against you? Yes, you did.
I'm and a victim of Jamar Chase and a victim of... It's just...
This was a prime week for wide receivers ones. Wide receivers ones? Is that anyway?
Yeah.
The whatever the pluralization is, to be fed and a lot. I think Keenan Allen had something like 20 targets and 17 catches or something, and Davante Adams similar. Keenan Allen threw for a touchdown. I don't know if you guys saw that play.
That was a fun play to watch. That was some backyard football.
49 passing yards and a passing touchdown attributed.
This is one of those weeks where you just look at your roster and you're like, man, I left a lot of points on the bench. Good thing I'm still down 50, even if I played all the correct people.
So yeah. I thought about this, Andy, after you brought it up as a like to have last week. And I think I wish I could make a substitution off the bench at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. I think that it wouldn't benefit you in the long run because I feel like as many times as I have that thought, it is immediately followed by, but my opponent also has so-and-so on the bench that they could have played and I would have lost anyway.
I was just about to say this week, that team that I have 150 points in, one of my wide receivers got 8. I have another one on the bench that got 15. So
no, they literally
even worse.
They literally played all the correct players. The only mistake is that the defense has -2 points. But don't worry, still has 164 points.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was
a lot of
weird
points.
It was a weird week. So
yeah, you just got to take the average, right? Like that's the thing about fantasy football is where you're like, whatever, I lost this week, but like it all comes out in the average. If you can keep your team not doing the yo-yo between 80 points to 160 points to 80 points to 160 points, and you can land on 120 points a week, you're going to probably come out ahead.
This is what I was talking about with one of my coworkers today. And, there are some players who I'm fairly confident if you play them, there's a chance you will get 40 points from them. Also, there's a chance you will get 4. And that is the worst position. I would much rather have a guy who will get 10 points every week than a person who will maybe get 4 or maybe get 30, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that
you can build a roster around
so
knowing that, right?
That is the difficulty of fantasy football, truly. And I think in that spirit, I want to listen to take the opinions of the council here on a trade that was proposed in my league and what you think you would do about this trade.
Okay.
Not that not that you. I'm not giving any of you the the power to do anything about it, as I am the commissioner in that league. But I'm just curious what you would think. So I don't know if you guys know any of these players. So let me know if you're not aware. One team is trading Brian Robinson from the Commanders. The other team is trading Sam Laporta from from Detroit, and Christian Kirk from Jacksonville.
This requires like actual somewhat research here.
A little bit. Brian Robinson has been pretty good. He's gotten like 2 multi-touchdown. It's like a touchdown every game except this past week.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the running back 1 on that team. If you're looking for a guy, Sam Laporta is probably like a low end tight end 1, I guess I would say. But I mean, tight ends are a wasteland, and a guy who plays consistently is hard.
Yeah, but
I don't. Christian Kirk is not bringing a ton of value, but
I don't.
Got to do something to make the trade a little more even.
I don't see it. I don't see. If I'm the owner of that running back, I do not see making that trade.
What if I told you that team has running backs to spare and didn't play Brian Robinson this week?
Running back depth is the hardest thing in fantasy football to maintain.
Also, I think Christian Kirk has been playing too well for that.
Yeah, Christian Kirk is going on the bench.
Yeah, that's
the trade is mostly because my tight end is complete trash and gets nothing, right? Like Sam Laporta is a big upgrade in tight end from the one I have. Hey, this is me. I'm doing the trade.
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't know which end of you were in, but if I were the other player, I might accept your trade. But I don't feel like a 2-for-1 is generally beneficial.
I agree with you. Almost. I guess I normally would say always, but in this instance, I am taking the 2-for-1. So
yeah,
I cannot say always, but I agree with you that usually if you're doing a 2-for-1, it's a bad deal for the person getting 2.
So you benched this guy you're going to trade, but he's a running back 1
because I have better running back 1s.
You got it. But you have bye weeks coming, and you also are 1 bad knee to a helmet away from losing your starter.
Cough, Chubb, cough.
If I lost, actually, I already have one of my starters who was lost, and that's not AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. So I have 4 good running backs, right? I have Kenneth Walker. I have, who's the other guy that I played instead of Brian Robinson this week? Sorry. I have James Cook. on the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I have Madison on the Vikings, who is kind of mid, but not that bad. I have Aaron Jones, and I have Brian Robinson. I have a lot of running backs. That's 5. Jones is out with an injury. Who knows how long he'll be out for, but probably a week or 2 more. I feel like I can roll the dice on trading one of these guys away to upgrade my tight end position and cover some depth on my wide receivers. That's how I'm feeling about it.
I guess Laporta had a good game.
I mean, tight ends are a wasteland, dude. There's like, is it Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews? If not, then everyone else, it's like you hope for someone who gets a lot of targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to have a tight end, you could do worse.
I mean, I have a tight end position, right? So I have to play someone every week. I've been playing in JoJo, but he's gotten like 3 points a game so far.
Yeah.
It's not encouraging. Laporta will get more than that.
I think my philosophy just clashes with your philosophy here, and mine is to hoard starting running backs.
I appreciate the philosophy, and I think it's great, but the problem is I have 2 every week who will be sitting on a bench somewhere.
Yeah. You'll get down to 1 when buys happen, and then you down to 0 if you get an injury, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only reason that I've always leaned into RB in the first couple rounds of a draft, right?
I mean, the nice thing about this is like I didn't pay high for any of these people, right? Auction league, so it's not exactly the same.
Sure.
But like, the big money I spent in this draft was on Justin Jefferson, who has been destroying the world and is great. I paid for Mahomes, and did I end up paying for Walker? I paid something for Walker. I didn't get him for free, but not very much.
Yeah. I think you have your answer.
I think I paid for it, but like, well, the spoiler was I already accepted the trade. I was interested in the interest of the council here.
That's a good spoiler. I like that.
I was interested in what you guys would do.
I think you didn't come out too bad, but that's I don't know. Michael felt differently, I think.
Yeah, I think given that he has a tight end spot that has to be filled, that I'm, in the same position, I might seriously consider it.
Oh, do you have a league that doesn't require you to play a tight end?
You can have them in flex spots.
So I have, let's see, one of my leagues has a wide receiver tight end flex and then 2 full flexes. And then the other one has 3 wide receivers, one wide receiver tight end flex, and 1 full flex.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
My league has... I want to see everyone here do a full flex, is what I'm saying.
I'm
flex hard.
I'm very swole here. You can't see it. I am. So my league, the flex spot is true flex. You could put tight ends in the flex, but you do have to play a tight end. And everyone is always like, well, who got Kelce? Everyone else is like, shrug. It's like, we're just going to play random dudes. So yeah, that was the driving factor in me, is that like, I think that's upgrading from a guy who's going to get you 3 or 4 points a week to a guy who might get you a touchdown.
Sure.
Is a big upgrade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's there you go. Football segment. Yay.
There's some different philosophies.
Yeah. All right. Annie, speaking of philosophies.
Uh-oh.
I know that I think we talked about this in the past, right? We talked about the like books and adaptations of them into shows.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have.
Where do you want to go with this, man?
I see. I see. Yeah.
I feel like there's this is a deep well.
Have you read the Wool trilogy, either of you?
Wool by
Wool. Well, you would think I would look that up beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, so I'm not sure.
Well, maybe you've heard of the show The Silo on Apple. Be nice if my internet would work. I just don't understand. I'm on a voice call with you. My internet is clearly working, right? I'm connected. We're talking. Can't get a web browser to do anything. Howey, Howey, Howey. I've never heard it said out loud. I don't know how to say it. Howey.
That doesn't ring any bells.
Never heard of it. Yeah, I've also never heard of the show on Apple TV either.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like a overarching thing is called Silo, but the book started with Wool, which was the first one, and then I think there were like 2 others that came after it and made a trilogy, and now he's got a prequel trilogy and all this other stuff. I think it came out like we were in high school-ish.
What kind of genre are we talking about here?
Sci-fi, dystopian future type stuff.
Okay.
It's not a spoiler to tell you they call it Silo because there's 10,000 people living in what ostensibly is a silo, like 144 story tall silo.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of mysteries about why and how and all that sort of stuff and intrigue and all these sorts of things. Yeah, it was like 2011, so I guess it was after high school. I think the book stories came out. I was watching the show. I've read the book, and there was some stuff in the show that I had to look up because it's been a decade since I read the book, where I was like, I don't remember this thing. Oh, they made it up for the show. And that happened to me. There were 10 episodes, I think. And that happened to me like every 3 episodes. I'm like, what is that about? What is that thing? I don't remember that. And I would look it up. So like, there's a sickness inside the silo. Well, in the book, there was no sickness, but you know, they've added it to the show. Multiple questions here because we've watched some rather infamous movies by the Peter Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were deathly accurate, as close as they could be while removing things. And some of them were extremely inaccurate because of adding lots of things. But we had all read those books beforehand. With Marvel movies coming as fast as they come now, and the inability to read every single comic of everything that is ever tied into every one of these things, right?
You would truly be a comics sicko if you could read all of these.
I'm sure that you
just had to have been reading all of them all along and never stopped.
I'm sure there. Look, hold on. There are people that don't play video games as much as us, or don't read books, or don't watch TV. They read comics, they do, right? Yeah. Like they would probably have enough time. It does not take that long to read a comic. But
that's true.
Given the amount, and this was the literal point that I was getting to, given the amount of time you have in a day, we were gamers. I want to play my hour roughly of COTC that I need to play per day. I want to read a new book that I have never read before for roughly 30 minutes to an hour a day. I want to play another game other than my phone game. I have lots of responsibilities during the day that take up most of it, if not almost all of it every day. You know, like where we used to lie in, like, I know, Michael, you're a perpetrator of this. I'm going to read the book first.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's pretty heavy one with me. Not an absolute, but
well, now that we've got so many things coming so fast, like if I told you to go watch that Silo show, because I think it was actually somewhat more intriguing than the books, not maybe more, but more engaging, more quick. It was quicker than the books. They changed some stuff around and really got to stuff a lot faster. Like one of the main characters isn't even in the first book. It's in the second book, right? With all the Marvel stuff coming this fast, I think we need to rethink whether or not you need to read a book at all, ever, maybe, before watching a show. Thoughts?
Oh, well, I think you have to put books and comics in 2 different categories first.
Yep. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Because an adaptation of a book is a very finite thing, right? Unless it's like, sure. I mean, unless it's, Wheel of Time or. That's the first one that came to mind, but yeah.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one to pick because that's the perfect one that has like 700 sequels, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the idea of the thought of being able to finish 2 books or 3 books before wanting to see a movie versus, the entire backlog of the history of Iron Man in comics, to be able to understand all the nuance of Marvel's next film, or it's two very different prospects to me.
And I think if I was, having to pick between these, right? Typically, and I'm not an expert on this either. I'm definitely not an expert on the comics side, so please, stop me there. I feel like a lot of the book adaptations that get done, although I feel like there's even less of those these days than there used to be. Old man rant right there.
Mhm.
But when they typically did book adaptations, it was like they did the one book and you could just read the one book and then go see the movie of the one book. Right.
Sure.
And so, to me, it's still a harder prospect than reading one arc of comics, right? Because even like one arc of comics, it's probably collected in a trade or something somewhere, and you can read that, in a few nights, kind of leafing through it if you're, just trying to get the gist of the story or whatever. But a book is a bit of dedication. You kind of got to plan ahead. You're talking about like knowing when the release is coming out and planning a month or so in advance so you get enough time to read it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, I typically fall along the lines of like, are these books that I was going to read anyway? Like, is this stuff that I was probably already interested in and just never got around to, or stuff in the wheelhouse or genres that I already like? And, then I'll just go read the book because I think, I probably would have eventually gotten to that. And, now's the time. Right.
Sure.
Whereas like, this is like a nonfiction historical fantasy thing that they invented that I've never heard of and was never going to be on my radar anyway. I'm not reading the book. I'm just seeing the movie. Right.
Yeah, and I make that same distinction too. Like, is it the kind of book that I would have picked up and read the back cover and been like, I need to read this book?
I liked reading the Bull books back in the day. I remember liking them because I talked with a friend of mine, shout out Mark, about them, and they were one of his first books that I can remember reading digitally because he self-published them, so they were on my Kindle, and I was like right when I got a Kindle. So it's like there's a weird memory and nostalgia to it. So I remembered enough about it, and this is why this show brought this to mind, because I really sat at the end of it and thought, I think maybe that show was better than the books, and like I'm glad I didn't try to reread them before watching this, because it's much more mysterious, much more dense in terms of the relationships between characters. There's like subplots that are going on to, I don't know if it's to extend the show, because they certainly jumped ahead quite a far way at the end of the season, not in terms of time, but in terms of like book order of things, and just skipped a bunch of stuff in the first book. They just like, nah, none of that's interesting. We're just going to move ahead to like midway through the second book to end this thing. So I understand the like, okay, I want to read this because I've wanted to read this before, and now they're making a movie about it. So like the Harry Potter's, right? I've never watched the movies, but now I'm reading it with the kids, and I'm kind of like still not watching the movies because
Wait, you never watched the Harry Potter movies?
I've never seen a Harry Potter movie.
Was that intentional? Did you like avoid them when we were younger?
I never saw some of them and then just started intentionally avoiding them because I hadn't seen the first ones. I remember one night getting pretty imbibed, and a bunch of people turned on Wizard People Dear Reader.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a thing that we were all like sitting down watching. It was like a party, and it was on in one of the rooms, and I saw some of it and I was like, oh, okay, these are funny lines, but they're not like the real movie or anything, so I have no idea what's going on.
Wizard People Dear Reader is pretty funny, actually. Maybe I was at that party.
I think you might have been.
There's a chance.
There's a chance.
Anyway, my mind has been blown. that somehow you avoided that entire cultural
right. Well, now we have the dilemma of whether or not to watch the show or the movies first. But
show.
Yeah, but they're rebooting the entire franchise on HBO as a show.
They are.
I think I guess you could do both, but the movies are pretty good, and I think they hold up.
Okay.
For the most part. Well, you have the bigger problem of like anything you do related to Harry Potter supports the author, which is a problem.
Yeah, well, the books are already written and in the house without repurchasing them. So
and death of the author, yada yada. This isn't a literary analysis show. Sorry,
I don't
trying to bring up topics like death of the author. I don't know where to go with that.
That one's a little deeper than I have bandwidth for at the moment.
I think that. Andy, I think that you're right, and that it is fair to say that these days, you simply do not have to read it, right? And I would say that for the majority of the case, I don't read any. Sorry, a lot of the books and stuff I do end up reading before, but mostly because either they're making books of stuff I've already read.
Yeah, we're getting to that age, man. Oh yeah, I read that book 10 years ago.
Michael, where's our Dragonlance movie? Come on.
I was just going to say, make Dragons of Autumn Twilight, you cowards.
Come on, do it.
Did you see the
popular.
D&D
Look
movie?
At Baldur's Gate 3.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want that? You should go watch the D&D movie first.
Andrew, I have seen the D&D movie, the new one, and it's actually really good. So I do want that, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just making sure you're making an informed statement, and that I need to go now find it on Paramount Plus or whatever.
I think it's on. Is it on Paramount Plus? Is it on HBO?
No.
Anyway, it's on one of those services. You should watch that movie. That movie is pretty funny and like legit, actually a good like D&D movie. It's good. I'm supportive of that movie after having watched it and being like, I don't know that this is going to be any good, and then it was. I was shocked. So, look at Baldur's Gate 3. That game is like blowing numbers out of the water, right? Like, this is the moment. If they're going to do the Dragonlance thing, this is the time, right? All right, sorry, digression. But I think that it is becoming more likely that I don't have to read the books because they're making the movies of the stuff I've already read, and then I also, don't go back and reread it for the movie, right? Like you did here.
Yeah.
So I think you're kind of okay in that. And I think that in general, writers are doing a better job of translating these books to the screen in
spirit instead of literalness. Literal. I don't have the right word for what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they adapt it, right? They properly adapt it rather than just like putting the book on the screen. Which can be done well. Like, look at Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, right? It's basically the book, and they just put it on the screen.
But then look at Ender's Game.
Yeah, so then, then you have adaptations that one might have been too literal, is what I'm saying, right? Like, that wasn't a good adaptation because they just sort of like put down exact moments from the book and then sort of skipped around and didn't like really adapt it. And then you've got the other adaptations where they just are like, this is a cool concept. What if we like took the IP and did something completely different?
I think that, for every example you can provide where they did a bad job, I can provide equal numbers of ones where they did a great job, right?
So the conclusion of that is don't read the book. So we have no baseline.
I definitely think in the case where you have read the book in the past, you are never obligated to reread the thing. Cleaning up some stuff that we've been up to that I've been up to anyway. I did armor all of the cores. They've been fully armored. I did all of the things in that game.
Are you platinum trophying? Is that
no?
What that means?
Are we moving on?
Yeah, I completed New Game Plus and New Game Plus, and I've decided I'm good. The stuff that's left for the final trophies are like buy every part in the shop, which I already bought many of them, but to do more would require grinding, and I don't want to do that. And then do stuff like S rank every mission, which is just like go back and play missions for like weird obtuse metrics of like time and kills and money and stuff, and I'm not doing any of that either.
It's the StarCraft replay.
What?
Yeah.
Don't down talk StarCraft.
I'm not down talking StarCraft. I'm saying that's how StarCraft worked. You played through the mission the first time, and then you went back and did all of the like difficult. You got to collect 3 of these things or destroy this base in the first 10 minutes of the mission to get the achievement unlocks.
Some of us cheated and read those beforehand so that we could do them during the first playthrough.
Hashtag got him.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really like it. I think that game has done a wonderful job with its endings. It has really done a cool thing where the play. I now think after having finished all 3 of the endings, and the endings are different. There are 3 different endings in that game. I guess you don't have to do them 1, 2, 3, but obviously I didn't want to play it 4 times. So I now think that there is a proper order of those endings based on where they go. And like the stuff you have to do to unlock them.
So they're related.
I mean, it's like they take pivot points in the story and then they move different ways based on that, right?
Oh, okay.
But I do think based on the pivots that you take in order to do these other endings, I think it makes sense to do certain ones in certain orders. They don't force you to do that, which is to their credit, right? Like you can just do all the endings. Well, you can't do the 3rd ending. You have to do stuff to get to the 3rd ending, but you can do either of the first 2 endings either way, right? Which is nice, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed my time with that game. High recommend from me if you want to see some mechs blow stuff up.
I really want to, but not for $60 because I'm broke.
Fair. It will go on sale eventually. I'm fairly confident. At which point, then yes, please check that out.
I guess maybe not broke, just broken. I just have too many games.
That feels like a more accurate description of all of us.
Sagely nodding over here.
That's funny.
All right. So speaking of stuff we haven't talked about in a while, I know Andy had been making his way through JoJo's.
Oh yeah, I have.
And how much JoJo's have you seen now, Andy?
I don't remember the thing, but JJ, I don't want to give anything away before what we're gonna do here. But let's say I've seen what stands are.
Mm-hmm. I know. Like, are you on part 2, part 3, part 4? Have you seen the art style change?
Yes.
Okay.
Very strange.
Okay. So you're at least in part 4.
I think part 4. I think it's a little.
Are you in a town?
I don't remember. It's been a little while since I watch them in chunks and then I forget stuff and then I go back and I remember stuff.
Okay.
I think it's part 4-ish because I think that's where Stans comes in.
No, Stan's coming in part 3. He says.
Are they in 3?
Questioningly.
Yeah.
So, have you gone to Egypt?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of stands in Egypt.
There are a lot of stands in Egypt. Yes.
We're
confusing Michael.
It's okay, Michael.
We'll explain. we'll explain stands.
I'm trying to figure out how far Andy has gotten. Have you changed main characters again?
Yes.
Again?
Again? No.
Okay. So then you haven't gotten to part 4. So I think you're in part 3. Anyway,
okay. Maybe it's part 3.
Anyway, I know where you are.
Okay, all right. We'll explain stands in a minute, Michael, because I have to explain.
Oh man, I can't. I forgot. Michael doesn't know what JoJo's is. Oh my god. Okay.
No,
I'm like,
we've talked about it with Michael before, right? We've talked about this.
Yeah, but you did the same sort of you did the same sort of dancing around each other, trying to feel out who was where in their watching.
Because I've seen all of this. I don't want to spoil anything.
Michael,
for Andy
Michael, hold on. Michael will remember the most important thing about JoJo. What's the most important thing about JoJo?
All the band name references.
Yes, there you go. Okay.
100%.
And I'm caught up.
You're caught up. That's the only thing that matters, and that's because that's what we're gonna do today, right, JJ?
Yeah, we are.
All right. So I think 2 months ago we told people to send in fake JoJo names, and we would play a game. So JJ and Michael, you have to play the game of whether some of these are real or fake. So some people tried to trick me, JJ, and they used stands.
Dude, that's allowed. I don't see how it can not be allowed.
Okay, but some of the stands I hadn't seen, so I had to look them up.
They keep going, Andrew. There's many more parts.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I haven't seen all the parts, so there definitely will be some of these I'm not aware of.
So, are we ready? You're just gonna tell me real or fake.
I want to be clear for Michael. Andrew, we gotta explain stands.
Okay. No, do we
Michael
explain stands now? No, because it'll.
He needs to know.
All right, explain.
Does it ruin the quiz?
I don't know if it ruins the quiz or not. It might ruin the quiz, but we could do it if you want. You want me to explain it?
If it's just we're guessing, is this band named referenced in JoJo's? Then I don't know if that's as funny as is it a stand?
Well, because then you have to guess names versus stands. Because I've got character names here too.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's just do the names. You decide whether or not they're a character of any type.
Okay.
Stand or not stand. If you think this could be a real thing that someone says in JoJo, how about that? The words are said in JoJo. Sound good?
Are you down, Michael?
Sure, yeah. Having no point of reference. Yeah.
Well, some of the points, right? We talked about some of these before, right? Like we talked about Dyer and Straits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You have no point of reference, but it's going to be great, I think. It's going to be dumb. It's going to be real dumb.
I feel like there's a chance that having no reference is an advantage, honestly.
Yeah, it might be. All right. Number 1, Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, I think
real?
That's a name. Yeah.
Real. Okay, yes, real. Kenny G.
I'm gonna go with not real on this one.
I'm gonna go with real just because it's funny.
It's real. Yes, it's real. There's a Kenny G in the show. Some of these character names are going to be put together. Some of them will be
do you have
2
context
characters.
For who these are?
So those are 2 real characters. Yeah. I'll just say character.
Person named Vanilla Ice. Wow.
Yes.
Of course.
Oingo and Boingo.
Oh, that's got to be real.
Yeah,
it's real.
It's real.
That one.
So one of the ones we might have done before, Dio Brando.
Yeah, that's real.
You mentioned that one before.
Yep. Okay.
Dio. There's a whole meme around Dio. There's
a lot of memes around Dio. Yeah. WT Clan.
I hope that one is real.
Yeah, I want that to be real.
No, not real, but we'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Pearl Jam.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll go with not real on this one.
It is real. Yeah. It's real. Susie Q.
That era, I know Susie Q to be real.
I was going to guess real for that one.
All right.
Because I think you mentioned that one last time.
Oh, I might have. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Rick.
No, but
I'll go with yes on this one.
No, fake.
No.
White Snake.
I know that's a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah, I'll go with no then.
That's real. It's a snake. It's a stand. How about this one? Hot Pants.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. That's crazy.
I'm going to go with yes and hope it's a David Bowie reference.
Those are both, yeah, it is real and it is a David Bowie reference. Good job.
Hey.
There you
go. Young Neil.
That's a good one.
It is good.
It's a good one.
I think I'm going to go with yes just because I want it to be.
Yeah, that's another one.
No, it's not. That was an email submission. So if you sent in young Neil, good job.
Played, whoever said
good job.
Well played on that one. Foo Fighters.
Okay, that's too obvious. They just use the name of the band. They always try and do a thing to it, I feel. Although I guess White Snake was directly the real thing. So
and Vanilla Ice too.
I'm just straight up wrong on that.
It is a stand. It's real.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Domino.
I think that one's real.
I'll say the same.
Fake. We'll get back to. Well, don't worry, we'll get back to it. Out and cast.
I'm gonna say no to this one.
Yeah, that doesn't sound real to me.
Good job. That one is fake, but we'll get back to that one also. All right.
How long is this quiz?
Here's your last one. Paula.
Only if the stand user's name is Abdul.
Very good guess, but it's fake. but we're gonna get back to that one. Okay, so JJ, we have to explain stands, and then we're gonna go over all the fake names in just a second for a reason.
Okay.
You want me to do it, or you want to? Because this is just insane.
I want to hear what you think a stand is, Andrew.
Okay, so a stand seems to be, Michael. Imagine if in Dragon Ball, Goku wanted to build up a Kamehameha.
Okay.
And got really mad. And instead of a Kamehameha, a giant Pokemon popped out. And then it did battle with Frieza's giant Pokemon that popped out. It's kind of what a stand is.
Where I thought that was going.
The stand, yeah. I mean, he's not wrong. There's different. Thinking about Pokemon is a little too
It's too cutesy in its entirety, but a stand.
It's like Goku stands there with his arms crossed and looks menacingly at Frieza, who is doing the same thing, and meanwhile their stands are fighting each other. So the stands do all the fighting, and the two people stand there and look at each other.
They create psychic Pokemon that battle each other, but the problem is they're psychically linked to these what they call stands. And so, if the stand gets hurt, it'd be like, oh, Pikachu got hit with a water beam or whatever, and his tail got knocked off. You'd be then missing a leg.
Yeah. So, if they punch the stand, you get punched, basically.
You know what I'm picturing is the scene from Good Omens, the oldest game. Or not Good Omens, but Sandman.
Oh, the oldest game where they're like, oh, I'm a dog, and then the dog gets eaten or whatever.
Yeah, and they get injured for each image that they conjure up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like that. Yeah. So a stand is like a iteration of their personality. So everybody's stands are different.
Sure. And all the other thing is that similar to Pokemon, which is why Pokemon is actually a surprisingly good metaphor. They all have special abilities that are unique. Right. Each one is different, and each one is somehow different, unique from all the others. And so, then they all do different stuff. Right.
Okay.
We cut off the quiz before my favorite character name, which was Benjamin Boom Boom. Real, by the way. So I used a bunch of fake names from people and I culled them down. So Young Neil, Metal Rick, Outcast, WT Clan. Those are some of the. That's a really good one. WT Clan and Young Neil were my favorite ones that came in.
Yes, those are so good.
They all are either characters or stands that are in there. They're just different. So Young Neil is in there as Yongu as a character. But Wu-Tang Clan is not in there. But they have a stand called Forever. So Outkast's Tomb of the Boom is a stand. There's Enter the Sandman as a stand, so Metal Rick would be Metallica, I guess. Oh my gosh. Okay. They really at some point in the show just give up on the we're gonna make references and just are like, nah, Foo Fighters.
we're gonna stop beating around the bush.
Yeah. I mean, there's a stand called Octung Baby.
When I was first watching JoJo's many years ago at this point, I got through a surprising amount of it not catching many of the references to music and stuff that were very obviously there. I just wasn't seeing them until they introduced a character named REO Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, what is this? has all of this been a thing? And then you just look, you're like, oh, yes, it has the entire time. All of these people are all just music and like references.
Robert E.O. Speedwagon.
And then the Speedwagon Foundation continues to be a thing throughout like the going forward of the show.
Pretty good, dude.
I
applaud everybody for their suggestions. There were more. There were a lot more.
I want to hear more of them because
one was James.
Like
one was I just deleted the note. One was James B, which there is no James Brown in the show, but there is a Smokey Brown in the show. I remember that one off the top of my head. Yeah, there was a lot of like little tricky ones. I could find the note again later, send it to you. But
because I feel like there was one related to Domino too. So like I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, there was that one I remember. So Fats Domino was not in the show as Domino, but there was like something Fats in the list. Paula Abdul was in the show, so that's why it was Paula, but it was like Muhammad Adfal. Yeah. There's a lot of them where people sent in fake ones that were real in a different way. It was really good.
The audience once again continues to be smarter than we are.
Yeah. So thank you. Okay.
That was great, Andy. You made me laugh really hard.
Well played all around.
Took a little while to get all those.
Michael, if you got spare time, you should watch JoJo. It's pretty funny. It's a good show.
Spare time? What's that?
Yeah, he's got to read 6 books before he watches the Silo.
Ooh.
On the list.
All right. Well, if folks out there want to tell us which part of JoJo's is the best part, they can. Where should they send that, Andy?
Podcast@weweregamers.com is a working email address. Or you could leave a comment on youtube.com/@weweregamers. I don't know about social media these days, but you know, you could look. Instagram's one of those ones we use for sure. Should I get the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection?
No, you're not going to play any of those games. Stop it. And if you're gonna play any of those games, you're gonna have the other one. Like you're gonna have the you're gonna want to play the cartridge version or something on your analog pocket.
I have the X Legacy Collection, the second one.
Yeah. Those are good. Those X games were fun. I heard Battle Network was good because it's like Pokemon, right?
I straight up have never played any of those games. I don't know.
Or it's like a tactics thing, I think.
They're different. They are definitely different. I've played 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, man, Analog Pocket. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Those look pretty cool. The clear colors, like they're definitely making another nostalgia play.
I got to get rid of more of my collection before I can add to my collection. That's something my opinion. Yeah, like 3 things out, 1 thing in, maybe.
I didn't think about it, but you guys see there's some like good cheeses on the game board there for the Triangle Strategy collab.
No, what cheese?
Like there's a lot of have you done it?
I've done the Triangle Strategy board. I've completed it. I have not done the secret side thing yet, but I don't care that much.
You should do the secret side thing. It turns out, you get free medals for doing it. And
no, I plan to do it. I just haven't had time.
Okay, that boss and that board, that route on that board is very profitable in terms of those medals.
Okay,
yes,
because there are like almost a single shared weakness by almost everything you will fight.
It's all fire, right? I heard this.
Yeah. And then like some of the mobs you fight along the way have sword, right? So if you just have a couple of sword guys and a bunch of fire mages, you can wreck house.
You can also there's a full heal point right before the boss that you can basically guarantee that you land on. So you can clear the trash and not have to worry about running out of SP before the last fight.
Oh
And
yeah,
there
because
are
you can kind of
also-
like manipulate when you land on it, right?
Yeah, just like, oh, you get close. It doesn't roll the number you want. Don't go there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are multiple places on that board that you can increase the enemy difficulty. So you can go 5 more than the +5 you use with tickets.
Whoa.
So you use
Oh,
whatever the
because you
max
can
tickets
move
are.
the difficulty up. Yeah, sure.
So use whatever the max tickets are for the one side, right? Use the more tickets to increase the enemy side. And then inside the game board, you can do an additional 5. That takes the multiplier up to like 24 or something. It's very big.
Okay.
And you win. And I mean, the bosses are harder, but like fire, sword, you got these.
I don't have
I'm
Frederica
confident.
though.
You don't need her.
Okay.
Sword. The
Yeah.
final boss is also weak to sword. Like,
All right.
I feel like you can handle it.
Yeah. And you can cheese it even further with Fiori X.
Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
because
Yeah.
the last boss the ads on the last boss don't, but the last boss himself basically only casts magic. So that's
And
a
it's
great
single
tip.
target.
It's a great tip right there. And yeah, you will just wreck that guy's face. And it is, you worry about how many medals you get, but like a couple of those runs and you will pull down 100K, no problem.
So this is how people have already A4'd their Serenoas.
Yeah.
It has to be. I can't see how else you could do it because the grind is so slow. If you don't, you get like 30K if you're not doing this.
Yeah. That's absolutely how they've done it.
Okay.
So had to pass that along if you're looking for optimizations of your own personal time.
Yeah, well, I am always looking for that, but yeah, I gotta get another champion trained to my controller. Not that I use any exterior items to.
You can't really do that with this board because of the dice involved. But
that's I think why they switched. I think that's why they switched everything to the board, right? Like all the grinding is now on the board, so good luck. You can't really automate it.
I mean, I don't think that's why. That is a consequence of.
I don't think everything happens in a vacuum, man. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
It may have been part of the considerations, right?
Yeah. They know people are out there doing whatever they do.